What's up guys, and welcome to the first episode of the new setup for this channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Brian and I'm the co-founder of CK Productions along with Joe. And what this channel is, it's basically kind of a second channel going along with CK Productions. It's had a couple different names in the past, but now we're gonna be going forward to more of a vlogging style type of channel where I'm gonna host episodes like this where we're gonna talk about some behind the scenes for CK Productions, some filmmaking tips, tricks, and ideas, some gear reviews, editing process, VFX breakdowns, all that kind of fun stuff. Sort of like what I was doing with this channel. It used to be called Digital Film Dojo, but it's gonna be more of a simplified format and it's gonna be twice a week instead of whenever I felt like posting. So going forward, the schedule is gonna be every Thursday and every Sunday, and in between that, you get a CK video on Friday as well. And with that, be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started. So today we're gonna go over the editing process for a typical CK video. And I'm gonna be using footage from our Animal Crossing Adventure series as an example for today. So if you haven't checked out those videos yet, I highly recommend you do so. It's been a really great series. So to start off, open right here, the editing program that I use is Premiere Pro. And if you know anything about video production, you should know all about this program, and you should know that it's definitely better than Final Cut Pro. Okay, that's just my opinion, but it is. We'll go over that in a future video. The first step after shoot, I will ingest the footage onto one of these hard drives that we have here. And from the hard drive, we're gonna go ahead and import it into our Premiere project. I'm gonna make sure all the files are kind of organized, so all the video is together and all the audio is together, and any other assets that we might need are organized as well. And then the first step, once we're in Premiere, is going to be merging. So a lot of times when we're doing shoots outdoors and we're moving around a lot, we're filming the video through our actual camera, but we're also using the Zoom H4n to get audio as well, because it gives us a little bit more flexibility to run around. So I'll lay all the clips down that we've shot onto the video track, all of them kind of in a row, and I'm gonna go through one by one, going through the audio list that we have, and then syncing up the audio with the video that we shot. That's why we kind of clap in the beginning of most clips. Sometimes we don't clap and it makes it a lot more hard, but I'm gonna go in and drag those audio clips together, gonna merge the files. It makes a whole new clip in Premiere, and I'm gonna label that clip accordingly to what episode it's from, what's happening in the scene. Sometimes with a series like this, we're gonna film multiple episodes at once. It's important for me to go through and make sure I organize, what clips are from different episodes and I don't get that wrong. That's why the labeling is important. After all that's done, and this could take a couple hours sometimes, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna make a rough cut. So whichever episode I'm on, I'm gonna go into the folder that has all the clips from that, and I'm gonna go through scene by scene, building the episode together from start to finish. Or, sometimes I might jump to the end, sometimes I might go to the middle, but eventually the whole thing's gonna be built out as a rough cut. And this rough cut, it doesn't have any music, doesn't have any sound effects, no fancy edits or visual effects or anything. It's just a simple rough cut to make sure, we know things are working. Maybe we find out some scenes are longer than we wanted to have, some scenes weren't working. We'll get a rough estimate of how long the episode's gonna be. And I'll usually send this cut to Brandon and Joe to ask for their opinion as well. Next up, I make a refined edit. So for this edit, I go through the rough cut and I kind of look at scenes that might not be working as well, some sections that might be longer than they should be, some shots that could be cut off and maybe could be polished up a little bit. For dialogue scenes, I might go through, make some L and J cuts. We'll go over that in the future if you don't know what that is. But after all that's done, we have a picture lock. However, in reality, picture lock is actually a myth. It's just not a thing. Trust me, it's just not a thing. Unless you're working with, high budget movies or TV shows, it's just not a thing. Next, I'll do the visual effects. And this step is normally the longest. I'll send the clips that need effects to After Effects by using the dynamic link tool in Premiere. And then I'll go through one by one in After Effects and create all the visual effects that we need, and then go ahead and render them and put them back into the Premiere timeline. And then after effects are done, the next step I do is color. Color. For most projects, I'll just use Lumetri Color within Premiere to do the color grading. But for some bigger projects like the Infinity War series, I might pull that over and work on it in DaVinci Resolve. And after color comes sound, my favorite. And normally I do maybe about 3 passes for the audio. And the first pass is to go through and kind of level out all the dialogue scenes, make sure nothing's too loud. I'll add audio filters to things to cut out some background noise. It can be a little tricky sometimes, especially for these Animal Crossing episodes, because we had scenes where we could hear bugs and trees rustling in the background. You have to go through there and try to clean them up a little bit. And also what's important, you're gonna wanna go through your dialogue scenes and make sure that the audio is blended from clip to clip. And then you use the room tone that you got to kind of fill in the gaps if you need it. In the second pass I go through, I put in music. I'll lay down the music and cut it up into different sections so it kind of lines up right with each of the scenes. And then I'll go through and I'll raise the audio, dip the audio in places where it's applicable. Actually, in most cases, I'll end up putting down the music pretty early in the process so I can kind of feel, the tone of the piece and see if these music tracks are working sort of early on. But in this actual audio pass, I'll actually go through and refine the music and make sure, everything's working. And if I have to switch something out, I'll switch it out. And finally, the last audio step is going through and adding sound effects. Luckily for a series like this, there's a lot of shared sound effects within the episode, so I can normally kind of go through the past episodes and pull sound effects out from the timeline and put them in this timeline. And over the years, doing so many videos, I've built up a really strong library of sound effects that we've used. So it's not very difficult to go and find a lot of sound effects. Usually I just have to search for maybe a few of them for each episode. Sound effects is definitely a fun pass. It's good to have your dialogue and your music kind of in place before you go and do that, because you know how your sound effects will sort of mix with them as well. And lastly, after I'm done the audio passes, I'll go through and I'll do a final polish on the piece. I'll watch it a few times, and if I see anything that's sticking out, maybe a loose frame or a visual effects shot that needs a little bit more work, I'll go and do that, polish things up a little bit, fiddle with the color a little bit. You just want to go through and you don't want to make sure you don't miss anything. And then finally, we hit export. And after I hit export, it's important for me to distance myself a little bit from the project, because I know that if I keep watching it after it's exported, I'm gonna be obsessed with finding all these little things that need to be changed. Trust me, I've been there in the past. It's just not something that you wanna do. Instead, I'll send the cut over to Brennan and Joe and have them look at it and see if there's anything that might have been missed. And then after that, we upload and then start the whole process over again. Since we have so many different types of videos, the amount of time it takes to make them varies a lot. Usually for heavy visual effects videos, I give myself about 2 weeks to work on those, giving myself a little extra time. But normally for most videos, I can turn it around within like 3 or 5 days. And there you have it. That's my editing process. In future videos, if you guys like, I'll go a little bit more in depth in each of these steps in the editing process. And for the next video, I'm gonna go over my camera setup and a lot of our production tools when we shoot a CK video. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you know when that video comes out and all my videos coming out in the future. On this channel, I'm going to be posting twice a week, every Thursday and Sunday. And of course, you get a CK video in between. Also, my Instagram's a thing. On there, I post some of my personal work and photography I do. And finally, feel free to comment down below with any other topics you'd like me to cover in the future. With that, I hope you guys have a nice weekend, and I'll see you on Sunday. Bye, everyone.